What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Blue River Bow Hunting Podcast, episode 142. Hoping you're having a great week out there. And if you've missed any of our episodes from the new year, we had Tom James on episode 140. Guy from Indiana, great episode. Go check it out. I'd like to shout out some sponsors before we get going. Local 18 Heat and Frost Insulators out of Indianapolis. If you're looking for a career in the building trades, look up insulators.org. B&B Custom Calls from West Virginia. Turkey season's right around the corner. Check out Michael Hawk. He makes some great stuff. And we actually have a new sponsor for this episode, HLRBO, which we're going to get into that in depth in this conversation with my guest this week, Katelyn Armstrong. What's going on?
Hey, how's it going?
Not too bad. It's been a long time since we've done an episode. 3 years. You were on episode 14 and 52, and this is episode 142. So it's been a hot minute since you've been with us.
Yeah, love the return. Always, always a good time.
Oh, absolutely. I wanted to, get you on. You seems like everything's going right for you. You're doing some big things in the industry and got a lot going on for yourself. Kind of explain what's happened in that time period since you've been on the show.
Well, I suppose, long story short, I feel very blessed to be where I am. I pretty much am at the point now where, I don't really have any days off, but if you love what you're doing, then it doesn't really matter. Of course, with being able to hunt and film for a living and kind of do business on the back end, it's something that has been a dream of mine. And I'm very blessed to now be working with HLRBO, which is a job that probably was higher than the dreams I was shooting for. So
that's awesome. Well, for somebody that doesn't know HLRBO, explain what it is and how it works.
Sure. So HLRBO is a platform that is just like Airbnb, but it's for hunters and landowners to make that connection and be able to lease land in a really easy way. So, if you want to lease some private land, you don't have to find somebody through your own network or Google search and talk to random strangers. We handle like the contract portion of it and make sure like insurance is a part of the contract. And so we basically just handle that portion for you. And everything on that platform, we want to be able to market all of the leases that there's something out there for everybody, no matter what your budget is, from being able to lease like 40 acres to thousands. So it's really up to you. And we've got leases in all the states across the USA. And I think it's a really great thing to bring into the industry that hasn't really been done very, very much. So.
Absolutely. That's, a really great idea, especially somebody that maybe you have like 3 or 4 buddies that want to do a trip somewhere. And you really, you can rent these properties for just days at a time, correct?
Certain ones, yeah. So if you're a landowner listening to this, it's a great opportunity for landowners as well. Maybe they've got properties they're not hunting, or maybe they're not hunters and they just want to make some money to help pay their taxes. And you can section off portions of your property to have hunters come in and hunt it, and we'll handle the contract for you. But as your question was, we offer multiple different things. So it really depends on the landowner. If they want to do a year lease, some people like doing, 5-day hunts that they sell. Others will do 1-day hunts, and then you can pay for however many days you want to go. Some people just lease their property out for the entire month of November. So it just depends.
That's awesome. It's honestly a great idea. I've actually seen, I think, or I've been told anyways, there's been things like that in southern Indiana. I've never got to experience one, but they had a place that you could rent for a weekend or a long weekend or whatever, and then have the amenities to the house and the land. So this is a great opportunity for somebody to get in on something like that.
Yeah, my first experience with HLRBO, when I first got in contact with the company, they offered me a hunt, and it was with a property that had a house on it, and the landowner wanted to make more money instead of being a part of like Airbnb. they wanted to include their land as well. So, they're able to provide the lodging for the hunters. And it was really cool because I just walked out the door and went to the backyard. And funny thing was, it was like, I think it was 40 acres or no, it was 80 acres, I think. And the best hunting spot I found out towards the end of the week was literally 50 yards behind the house. Was where all the big bucks were daylighting. And I was like, I was putting in too much effort getting too far away from the house. Like,
Well, what's some states that you've got to experience through doing this that you wouldn't have prior to that?
Illinois, Michigan, Arkansas, Kentucky. Those are the ones so far. And I already have a list of ones that I'm going to be going to this year. I actually just talked about booking a New England turkey tour where my boss specifically mentioned New Hampshire. And I was like, I grew up in New Hampshire. And he was like, no way. He's like, would you ever be interested in hunting New Hampshire? And I'm like, yeah, that's where I killed my first deer when I was 12.
That's awesome. I've always kind of wanted to do that Northeast too, like Maine and Vermont and right in there. I think that would be a pretty cool turkey trip. I'm gonna have to do that one of these days.
All the states are so close. So it's like an hour and a half drive between quite a few of the states. So I'm hoping it's going to be a really fun trip. We're going to try to make it like a girls' trip. So,
nice.
Yeah.
What else have you been dipping your toes in? Is it in the outdoor industry? Is it just this one in particular? Or is there some other companies you're working with as well?
Well, for myself as, an influencer and a business owner myself, I've got my own sponsors as well, just like I've always had. But HLRBO is, my main focus for sure. And it's kind of cool because it doesn't affect me working with my sponsors at all because I actually get way more hunting opportunities working with HLRBO. So it's a really cool way to tie it all together. But specifically, one thing that I do with HLRBO that I'm very excited about is I am actually in the Arkansas properties. For the first time, I set them up and scouted them and managed them, put out trail cameras and bait sites and set up natural ground blinds and spots to put tree stands and cut shooting lanes. And then I was able to sell the properties and lease them out for an entire year to hunters. And they were extremely grateful for the work I had done. And, everybody I've been working with really loves that. And so that's kind of my new exciting thing that I'm doing with HLRBO is while I'm at the properties hunting them, I'm setting them up and doing all the work for the hunters. So basically they can go there and they don't even really have to scout. I'm not saying they shouldn't, but I mean, I'm doing a lot of work when I'm there and putting waypoints on OnX and then giving them the entire folder with pictures and everything included and trail camera photos attached to the GPS location waypoints. And it's just so much information that most of the hunters that I've had book these properties want to book it before they come and see it because they're like, I don't need to come and see it. You showed everything.
So on these listings for these properties, it gets quite a bit in depth, right? It gives you pictures and even trail cam pics and all that kind of stuff, kind of in the description of the property, correct?
Yeah, the properties that I've been on do because I'm really trying to add a lot more detail because I've never leased land myself. I mean, I grew up hunting public. So this is really my first experience getting to test my skills on private land. And I'm trying to set it up for hunters that if I was going to lease land and invest my money into a place, I would want to know what I was getting before I booked it, and most of the properties that we have leased on there do have trail camera pictures because we have a whole team of field reps that go out there and they do some scouting and they put out trail cameras. But the properties that I've been on, I really try to go in depth so that, they never really have to be walked again or showcased again. Like they got hunted, they got scouted, everything's on there.
Is this a great time of the year for clients to look at this since it's kind of the beginning of the year? Maybe some of the places aren't leased for the entire year. Is this a good time to kind of start your prep when it comes to that?
Absolutely. It's a good time to start looking. A lot of leases that are yearly leases usually go through the end of turkey season. So we do have a bunch of properties that are about to open up like in at the end of April or May or whatever, whenever that state's turkey season's over with.
Hmm.
But it's definitely a good time to start looking and reaching out to people and maybe getting the first on the wait list if you want a property that's highly sought after. So
Absolutely. What's your day to day look like as doing this and still balancing your influencer stuff?
Well, my day to day really looks like hunting as much as possible when the weather's right.
All right.
When there's bad weather days, I'm pretty much just stuck on my computer all day, editing as much as possible because I film too much to keep up with the editing at this moment. You know, I'm working on building a team of people, and the one man show thing is pretty much way over my head at the moment. But I can give you a day to day what it's like when I travel and set up these properties because I just got back from Arkansas and I was there for 14 days and I hunted morning and evening every single day. And I also did my job at the same time. And, morning hunts, everybody knows what that looks like. But most people get to take a nap or they go and get lunch or they make phone calls or whatever. And my lunch hour was spent rebaiting all of the sites because Arkansas has an insane amount of hogs and they will eat an entire 50-pound bag of corn in a few hours. So I had like 14 bait sites over 900 acres. And every day I would drive into town, load my truck up with 14 bags of corn, and then go out and I'd be eating my sandwich and driving down the muddy back access roads and scratching up my truck and putting out the bags of corn and filming content at the same time that I'm doing it because I made a video of like day in my life kind of video. So it kind of
Nice.
works into what you're talking about. But yeah, that's and any cameras that the batteries died, I'd have to change them out. And I mean, I would just hope and pray that I could get all the spots done, and then run into the woods and pray I'm not late for my evening hunt. So, and then I was also in same time lunchtime, making phone calls, doing my normal job stuff, trying to edit a video and post it, and also setting up ground blinds for hunters. So I was just doing a lot of property maintenance and then hunting until the evening. And then when the deer hunting was over, that's when the hog hunting began. And I would spot and stalk hogs till I couldn't do it anymore and keep my eyes open. I'd go home and sleep and repeat the next day.
That's awesome. When you were there for 14 days, were you just like in a hotel or did you get like rent a place out?
I stayed at an Airbnb.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah. Yeah. I used to camp and
Oh yeah.
working this hard, man. I need a hot shower. I need a nice warm bed. I need electricity to charge all my cameras. Like it's a lot.
I guarantee it. Do you miss that public land grind a little bit?
I do miss a portion of it. Like I miss the fact that with public land, you can learn as much as you want and ruin any area and then just know that you can just go to the other side or like thousands of acres. So I wasn't worried about like leaving ground scent or busting deer because every time was just like a run and gun hunt and trying to learn as much as possible. It's almost impossible to like pattern deer on public land because you're competing with everybody else. So I used it as a big learning experience. And, now I go about things a lot differently on private land. I'm not trying to ruin the spots or.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
I seen a video on, I can't remember if it was TikTok or Instagram. I seen it the other day. It was a guy, he was just starting a brand or a channel. And he kind of said that he wanted to start a career in the outdoor industry. And he was asking people where he should begin on that. What would your answer to him be?
I get that question a lot, and I'm kind of gonna steal the answer that the Bomars gave years and years and years ago. I watched a video on YouTube where they're in their car talking about how to get in the hunting industry, and I followed what they said, and it worked for me. Two main things: you don't need fancy filming gear; your cell phone will work just fine. if you're going to invest in a camera, I would suggest a 360 camera. I used to say GoPro, but now that I own a 360 camera myself, it films everything and it pretty much is the same price point as a GoPro, and it is well worth it. It even pre-records 5 minutes. So you can shoot a deer, not turn on any of your cameras, and then turn on and hit record, and it saves the last 5 minutes and then continues recording. So that's been a
Wow.
huge lifesaver.
I'd
I
say.
wish I wish I had known about that like years ago. That would have been the only thing I invested in. But that's like the filming portion of it. Like, don't get too complicated. Painted Arrow is an amazing company that sponsors me, and they make all the magnets that to attach, to your bow, your crossbow, your gun. You can attach your cell phone or your GoPro. That's been a lifesaver as well. And their products are really cheap. They're less than $100. So for less than $100 and your cell phone, you can get started filming, and that's really all you need to get started. I would say for working in the hunting industry, filming and, filming your hunts and being on camera and making content and finding what works for you. Like, don't necessarily copy other people, find what works for you and start building an audience. When I got started, I only had a TikTok for 3 months before I got noticed by a company, and it didn't take very long. And I just kind of found my niche with filming how to hunt from a saddle, and I was the one that built my page off of, I don't know anything, I'm going to start from ground zero, watch me learn. That was, I mean, you don't have to be a place of influence or teaching people things. I was showing people what not to do because and then the second that covers like the filming portion of it. And then the second portion of it is once you get a little bit of an audience, like I'm talking 5 to 10,000 followers on some sort of a platform, invest in going to trade shows and talking to companies, because you can get face-to-face conversations with them. Like, a lot of times the owners of the show are there, or somebody who is important and is a decision maker is at those shows. And I mean, that's what the Bomar said, invest in yourself, go to those shows. You'll meet other influencers and people who've actually made it. You can ask them for advice. You can talk to people. There's all sorts of opportunities at trade shows. And to be honest with you, that's how I've gotten the majority of my sponsors. Is I went to trade shows for years. I've made YouTube videos about it, and you don't have to have a lot of money to go to trade shows. I mean, tickets are somewhere between 20 to $50, depending on what show it is. And I was broke, so I camped in a tent and went to trade shows.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Is there anybody that that you watched when you first wanted to get in that space, as far as filming goes, that you kind of like, I like the way they do things compared to somebody else?
I really still to this day loved the hunting public, just because they were kind of the vibe I was going for, such as like they were hunting on public land. Their videos weren't overly edited or cinematic or high quality. They were just a bunch of friends showing that, if they can do it, you can do it too. And that's how I felt. I felt like I related to them a lot, because obviously I was hunting public land as well, but I just saw them getting bigger and bigger online. And, again, their video quality was not TV quality.
Right.
So it made it very relatable that, like, wow, I feel like I can do it. They're doing it,
Right. I feel like that. I think I've talked about it on here before, but that transition when it went from the theatrical stuff on the outdoor channel and stuff, transition into that YouTube period or just online stuff. I feel like it was all about relatability. This
Yeah.
guy goes and sits in a a redneck blind for
Right.
on some highly manicured property
Yes.
in Iowa or something. You're just like,
Yeah.
I don't think I'll ever get to do that. And then you see
Yeah.
them running and gunning and really trying to innovate as they went along the hunting public. It seems
Yeah.
like they went from saddle hunting to hunting on the ground. Like, they've changed it up so many times.
They
I don't feel like
try all different ways, and I
yeah.
think that's what makes it really relatable. And then they're killing deer with crossbows and guns and bows, and then they're buying low grade quality bows from Walmart and showing that you don't need to have a lot of money to get it done. And to this day, something that I've really respected about them is that they don't make it about like the size of the deer that they're killing. Like,
Right.
they go to states, they find out like what's a good deer in the area, like size wise for that area, and they go out and they shoot, deer that most people would call like middle of the road deer. But what they're doing is incredibly difficult. And, they're just happy to be out there hunting, which keeps it really relatable because, most people, you know, that are hunters and not trying to do it for a living or don't have tons of money to have a manicured property, shooting 160 170 inch deer year after year after year just is not relatable at all. Like that's like a once in a lifetime thing for most people, or there are two trophies on the wall after hunting for 20 years. So I just think it's really cool that they've always, made it about the hunt and making memories and not so much about like, oh, my deer's bigger than yours.
Right. Yeah, they were never in that measuring contest, that's for
Yeah.
sure. And I think a lot of people related to them, even switching from deer to the turkey side. I feel like I don't feel like anybody besides those guys could do that as far as the grind. I couldn't even imagine. They start in like March sometime and end in like June or something, like turkey hunting like every single day. I
That
mean,
was
that's
me last
impressive.
year, and let me tell you, I burned out. Like I turkey hunted all the way till June 7th. I left Michigan because it's last state open. And
Yep.
I was so happy turkey season was over. And driving home from Michigan, like I'm completely burnt out, running on like no sleep for days and days and days, just hitting multiple states, multiple properties, and driving home from Michigan. And that's when my boss called me and he's like, hey, do you want to hunt hogs? Would you be interested in hunting hogs? And I'm like, yeah, I'd be interested in hunting everything. I love learning. When's hog season? I knew nothing. And he was like, all year round in Arkansas, do you want to go like at the end of the month? And I'm like, I thought I got summer off, but no complaints. I was just like, real. I was on my 7-hour drive back from Michigan when he called me and was like, hey, in the summer, let's go hunt hogs in 109 degrees.
That sounds rough. I've had some of those hot hunts like that. Kentucky a few times, Missouri a few times. They're, in my opinion, somebody will call me a crybaby. I don't care. Some of those hot hunts are just the most miserable things I've ever been a part of.
Yeah.
Trekking back in Kentucky up those mountains when it's
Oh,
98 degrees outside will
oh yeah.
absolutely murder you.
Yeah, they will. When I was still hunting public, I
Right.
Kentucky was my first out of state trip, and I was trying to kill a velvet buck in Kentucky, and I did that for 3 years in a row. Never succeeded, because it was 100 degrees. You're fighting mosquitoes. You're sweating to death. There's no point in scent control because 5 minutes after being outside, you're disgusting. So,
Right.
but I'd like to think. I mean, I'm pretty much used to it now, unfortunately. So it is what it is what I say. Like you're not going to get any more disgusting than you already are in 109 degrees. So it's just living in that.
Was there something when you started and filming and all that stuff? Was there something that didn't work for you and you switched it up and realized that it didn't work?
When it comes to like self filming,
Or anything as far as starting a career, filming, all that good stuff.
you the one thing that didn't work for me is I didn't have a system. Like I when you're deer hunting, things happen really fast, time gets away from you. And when you're filming, you're adding more cameras, more gear, more batteries, more cables. Like there's just so much. And I didn't have a system. And this year, especially, I brought it down to the basics and I created a system for myself that was honestly a lifesaver for my brain. Because when you're climbing up a tree, and I'm using 4 to 5 different cameras sometimes. I mean, I got 2 GoPros, I got my main big camera, which you got to attach a mic to it, you got to attach the lens to it. Like that's a whole process, just that camera in itself. Got my
Mhm.
2 GoPros, I got my 360 camera, and I still film with my cell phone. So, like, that's 5 cameras right there, I think.
Wow.
And what I started doing, that was my process, was when I get up in my tree, the first thing I do is I make sure that my bow is ready to go to shoot a deer and my GoPro on my bow is ready to go. And so then I can kind of take my time and very slowly set up the rest of my gear. And it's not so much a rush. I'm dropping things less because I already know the most important thing I need to do is get the kill shot. So I know as long as I have my GoPro on my bow, like bare minimum, I've got that. And then if a deer comes in when I'm setting up, I'm not fumbling around and don't have like my release on my bow yet. I mean, I was all over the place for a long time because there was too much to think about. And it is still too much to think about, but now I've got a decent system down. So
I feel like, and you can probably contest to this a little bit. I think saddle hunting helped me with my filming stuff, like, as it
100%.
came out. Like, my sticks, my
Oh, yeah.
platform, my camera comes out, and then I pull my I'm probably the opposite on that. I get my camera set up first, and then I pull my bow up just because I'm trying to get it in a certain spot where I'm not clanking a bunch of stuff together. Like, I have a system, like you're saying, for,
Mhm.
like, saddle hunting and filming, and then when I go to sit in the lock on, it feels weird because I'm not doing all those other things.
Yeah. Yeah. I sat in a tree stand one time. Just I set up a tree stand like last year because there was a spot that was really close to the bedding area, and I had a tree stand laying around in my house, and I was just like, I just want like a preset spot, and I hated it for filming. Like I felt like everything was too close to me. I couldn't move around. My camera arm only can go to here. And I'm like,
Right.
okay, that's a problem for me drawing my bow back and my camera's here trying to get
Mhm.
over there, for saddle hunting. Luckily for me, I started filming when I bought a saddle and bought a bow. So I did all three learning at the same time, and I really hate filming out of a tree stand. I honestly don't know how guys do it. It's way harder. So,
Well, I switch arms when I do. I have I'm partnered with Fourth Arrow, and I like the satellite arm is the one I use when I'm saddle hunting, and then when I go to lock on, I use the stiff arm, which is big and longer and comes out in like three different
and come
sections. So,
around you.
so
Yeah.
that helps out a little bit having that arm. I'm sure with that small arm, you're probably like, well, this sucks, you
Yeah.
know.
I'm honestly terrified to sit out of a tree stand now because you don't have anything that is make like that tension against your body to know you're safe. And I feel like I'm floating up in the tree stand and I'm like, gonna fall out. Like, especially if I were to draw my bow or something with a saddle, you've got that support from your waist down and you only have to worry about moving your top half. So for me, it makes me a better archer, better filmer, helps me shake less. I don't have to worry about where I'm placing my feet or if I'm going to slip because I've already got that stability all the time.
I actually, this past year or this past fall was kind of the first time I'd done it. I actually had preset stands, but they were just sticks. I
Yep.
had the sticks in the tree already, so when I went up, I had to put my platform up, but I already had those, and they were in places that I needed them to be at that time. And
Mhm.
I moved a couple, but I ended up killing my first deer out of a saddle this year, and it wasn't even with my bow; it was with a gun.
Oh, no way.
Right? That's most people are like, "That's not what I figured you were gonna say when you say
Well,
that," but
you've got that nice little armrest on your bridge
yeah,
right there.
yeah, and of course, I would love for it to be, with a bow. That was that's my whole thing, but, I had just, shot a deer in Missouri, probably would've been my biggest deer I've ever killed on public land, couldn't find it. I just came home that weekend. It was opening weekend of, firearms here in Indiana, and I had just had enough. I was like, "I am getting the gun out this weekend." I've had enough of it. I'm gonna smoke one this weekend.
For sure. That helps. The preset sticks thing, I started doing that on these properties that I'm like managing,
Mhm.
especially when I'm there and I'm hunting for 14 days. I get burnt out and I would get burnt out 10 times faster if I was setting up and tearing down every single time. So every time sticks go on sale, or I'll go and buy some of those cheap like muddy sticks or the hawk helium sticks, and then
Mhm.
I just ratchet strap those to the tree because I like it very secure.
Yep.
And it works out. I mean, it ends up being like $60 a spot if you're able to get a good deal on sticks. And
Oh, for sure. Is there a certain particular set of sticks that you would prefer over any other ones?
for preset spots or for all the time.
Anything.
I gotta say, I really haven't enjoyed any other sticks other than the tethered one sticks. I still have my original set that they sent me 5 years ago,
Mhm.
and I haven't replaced anything on them. I've never had any issues. They're quiet, they're light, and any other sticks I've tried, either like the connecting system sucks, or they slip on the tree, or they're too heavy. And yeah, I love my tethered one sticks, and I put the daisy chain extra step on every single one. So my tethered sticks are all 3 steps each. So I can get pretty dang high in a tree. It's very reliable.
Honestly, this is probably what my I don't know. You kind of got me turned on to the whole saddle hunting thing. I think that's one of the reasons why we had you on the podcast, like the first time, to ask you about it.
Yeah.
And right after that is when I first started. So a couple years, I just now started using. I'm a bigger fellow, so it's a little bit different. But aiders, I've started using aiders,
Mhm.
and those things are a game changer. I can get 21, 22 feet on just on 4 sticks, but just using the aider to start off to get me off the ground.
Yeah,
And then
that's what I did in the beginning. I bought like a rock climbing aider from Amazon for like $30, and I used it only on my first stick.
right.
And yeah, that worked. But I love using the daisy chain am steel
Hmm.
the am steel guy. I bought them
Yep.
from him, I think. And they're great because they're like nothing for weight. You don't even notice them. And then sometimes I don't need them. Sometimes I use them. Sometimes I feel like only bringing 2 sticks in when I go hunt, and I have
Right.
6 steps with those am steel. So
Yeah, I don't blame you there one bit. Especially there's when I hunted in Missouri this year, there was a place that I was setting up where I only needed like 8 feet, maybe if
mhm,
that, just because of the way the canopy was,
mhm.
and I was hunting the edge of a bedding area, and it felt really weird because you're not that far off the ground, but it didn't work for me anyhow, so I learned my lesson there. uh, Kind of talk about your 2025 season. I know it's not completely finished yet. You're still hunting at home in Ohio, but kind of lay out your 25 season, where you started, and kind of go from there.
Sure. Well, I usually always start out in Ohio, or Kentucky is what I used to start out with. But yeah, I started out in Ohio this year, and I went to Illinois in October. And I got a 5-day archery hunt on one of the properties where the landowner was, offering 5-day archery hunts. So I got to go there, and I did a collaboration with the Louisiana bow hunter guys. They have a podcast as well. And I collaborated with them on that hunt, and that was really fun. We got a washout of rain. It was horrible hunting until the last 2 days. I ended up paying the landowner just to stay the last 2 days because to stay an extra 2 days really, because it was cold and sunny, and I was like, oh, the only 2 days it's not pouring, the days we're supposed to leave, I'm gonna stay. Like, put in too much effort. Got close a couple of times. I mean, I had a couple of really good bucks come in, but they didn't get any closer than 50 yards, and I won't shoot further than 30, 35 would be like, has to be absolutely perfect conditions and a giant deer. But I so that was a cool trip. Got to see a lot of good bucks, even though the weather was horrendous. And then I came back and I hunted Ohio pretty hard during the month of November. I haven't even like released this to the public yet, but I was after a target buck. He was a good 160 inches, biggest buck I've ever really been after. I got an opportunity to shoot him, and the story's kind of funny because he came in at 3 p.m. when I was just getting to the top of my tree. I had one knee on my platform, the other leg down on the top stick, and I was bear hugging the tree like this. And he came running in and was 10 yards under my tree when I'm like this with one knee on my platform.
Oh
And I
wow.
was like, are you serious? I had run-ins with him a couple of times. It was usually too far away, or it was after last light. He had a habit of coming in after last light and being in front of me, and then I had to wait to get down until he left. But he had never busted me in all the times, even when he came in and I was bear hugging the tree. I don't know how he didn't see me, but I successfully was able to climb the tree, turn on my cameras, and I waited for the opportunity, and I was able to shoot him with my bow. However, in that specific scenario, that was a tree I'd never climbed before, and I didn't get to sit up there and range find everything and take a look at my surroundings and realize where I was at. I ended up shooting him too high and basically just gave him a flesh wound. Found him on the drone. The very next day, he was dogging a doe, still rutting really hard and completely fine. He's just got a flesh wound. But the reason why I ended up shooting him high was because my tree was up on a hill and he was low on flat ground. And in the moment, almost getting busted and turning on my cameras and everything that happened, I didn't realize I was up on a hill and I should have aimed a little lower than what I aimed at. But lesson learned. I'm really glad I didn't wound him badly. And it was just an unfortunate lesson that if you bow hunt long enough, you're going to have that happen a couple of times probably.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what happened to me in Missouri. I shot that one on public land. I just shot him a little high. Don't think I hit anything. I mean, I found a little bit of blood, but not enough to warrant. I mean, I searched for like 4 hours, 4 or 5 hours, but not enough to kill him, which sucks. That's part of bow hunting. But
yeah, my plan for the rest of 2025 season for hunting deer in Ohio, I mean, for myself, because I was able to shoot him on a property I had access to, that was going to be the only deer I hunted because I had hunted him. I mean, I'd been patterning him for like 4 months ever since the summer. I mean, he was the target buck. I put so much effort into him. And, because I shot him and wounded him, I was like, hey, this is the only deer I'm hunting. He'll come back eventually. And 2 days later, he was back on camera, the same one I shot him at. And it was a few days after that unfortunately the lease expired that I was on, and I wasn't able to continue hunting him. And that was a huge bummer for me because I had put in all that effort and then I couldn't continue. There were some unfortunate situations that happened. And I was like, well, I guess I have to start over somewhere else in Ohio. Then I went to Arkansas and had a great time there. So
how'd it play out in Arkansas? I know you got one down there.
I did. That one.
Nice.
Yeah. So Arkansas had southern Arkansas specifically, where I was pretty much 5 minutes from the Louisiana line, maybe less. And those two properties that I had been managing and setting up and trying to sell to other hunters since June or July. I had hunted this buck. Oh, that was my first trip. It wasn't in Ohio. It was in Arkansas. In August. They had a 3-day velvet hunt. So when I went out there in August to hunt hogs again, I stayed there and tried to shoot him for the 3-day velvet, but I never saw him in person. So then I went to Arkansas again on this 14-day trip, and I gave up Christmas and New Year's and was there throughout both holidays. And that he was living on 535 acres. I had 2 properties I was hunting down there, and he was on the south property. And he was the biggest deer on that property because I had cameras there since July. And I promise you, he was the biggest one that ever stepped in front of like my 10 cameras on that property. And so I hunted him pretty hard, very, very hard. I had figured out his patterns, and he was probably the most patternable deer. So I went after him. There was a couple of other really good deer about his size, and 2 of them were a little bigger than him on the other property I had in Arkansas, but they just weren't on camera enough for me to figure them out. So I figured I had the best chance at this one, other than the buck in Ohio that I messed up on. I had never successfully patterned a deer and successfully harvested them. So successfully harvested one. So I really wanted to accomplish that goal. And I had come so close to getting this buck multiple times. I hadn't seen him in person, but when I mean close, I meant one time I was walking in the hunt and he was bedded less than 100 yards from my tree and I jumped him. Another time, all the other times I hunted, it was like I'd be hunting here. He would daylight 200 yards away at a different tree. I'd pick the wrong spot, and I finally figured it out and came up with a crazy plan. It was my last morning to hunt on New Year's Eve. And the spot that I wanted to hunt him on, that he was kind of consistently there in the mornings, but only at first light. It was day 14 of me hunting every single day. So we had a cold front 2 days prior. And both of those cold front mornings, I slept through my alarms and woke up like at first light and was late getting in just because I was exhausted. And all my bucks daylighted, like every single one was on camera for both days. And I, that just makes you want to like you know? so,
Yeah.
so I came up with a crazy plan since it was my last morning. And obviously, I wasn't trusting myself to not sleep through my alarms because I just don't hear them. It's not a matter of me hitting snooze and being lazy. Okay. It's just like my body's like, no, you don't even hear them, even though I'm having it hooked up to Bluetooth and stuff. Like, it was just unfortunate.
Yeah.
So,
I've had a couple of those mornings myself, just you spend so much, especially if it's cold, that
mm,
can really wreck your body over especially 14 days. I can only imagine.
yeah, and a lot of times I was spot and stalking hogs till midnight and then waking up at 4:30 to go hunt deer. So I was getting like 4 hours of sleep for way too many days in a row. So, anyways, it was my last morning to hunt, and I'm like, I've got this crazy plan. I'm gonna stay up all night long and hog hunt. And that way I can't sleep through my alarm because I'll be awake already. And then I only have to deer hunt till like 10 because no deer were showing up after 10 very consistently. So I also, the other crazy plan I had was the trail camera I was hunting uh, was all my trail cameras in Arkansas I could drive my truck to. So I was walking the very easy L shape path that was basically grass I'd smashed down
Mhm.
with my truck. And I every single morning I went to hunt this spot, I was just walking down that path. And then the night before, I was studying the trail cameras, trying to figure out a spot to hunt. And I'm like, I really think he's going to be on this camera. He hasn't been on this camera in 2 days. He's got like a 2-day pattern of a loop. I have to hunt this camera. I was looking at all of his pictures on this one camera, and I'm like, I think he's walking the access path. Like, I think he's smelling my ground scent every time I go on a hunt, and that's why I never see him. He is literally smelling me, 80 yards away
Mhm.
before he gets to where I'm at. So I decided to park on the road and walk 250 yards in where I'd never been before, straight to my tree, just following Onyx, like, where's my tree? Where's my tree?
Yeah.
And because I had never done that before, I didn't know it was all
Ooh.
briars. Like, it was miserable. And I had gotten in there so early because obviously I didn't sleep. And I was like super excited, like, I'm going to get in there so early and get set up and I'm going to be ready. No, me walking through the briars, it was just the whole time. My bow's going like ting, 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 ting. I'm getting caught on things. My face is bleeding. My gloves and hat is getting ripped off. Like, it was a nightmare of misery. I got lost because I didn't have any cell phone service, and I'm looking at Onyx, like, where's my tree? It says it's 20 yards away, and then it does a little spinny thing, and it's like, you walked past it. It's actually way over there through the briars again. And I didn't even get up my tree until probably 40 minutes after first light. And at this point, I am sweaty. It's 26 degrees. I'm cold. I'm sweaty. I'm pissed off beyond belief because it was my last morning and I believe I messed it up because I made all the noise on the planet. With the briars pissing you off, you don't really care anymore about stepping on twigs. So I was just like, oh, I hate everything. Literally. Yeah, there was nobody more angry in the world but me that morning. Trust me. I felt like such a failure that, like, I stayed up all night for no reason. I busted every deer walking in. I might as well have rang a bell walking into the woods. And then I got to the top of my tree and I was so pissed off that all I did was set up my GoPro on my bow, which is my main, like, bare minimum. And I'm like, I'm not going to see any deer. What's the point in setting up my other 4 cameras and taking another hour when I'm just going to tear it all down in another hour anyway, because I'm late and this hunt is ruined and I'm going to go home to Ohio without killing a deer for a third year in a row. Like, it was awful. So basically, I burnt out and I was up in my tree crying and in a terrible mood, like this on my saddle, facing the road, not even facing the direction where the deer come from, and I just kept telling myself, like, don't give up. It's not over, but also, like, this is pointless. You're just having those thoughts in your head. And I was very miserable for about 40 minutes. I was thinking about getting down. It was 8:30 and I'm like, might as well get down. I've got things to do, I've got things to edit. Like, I've got so much work to do. I'm wasting my time because I ruined this hunt. And I'm still crying, by the way, like this. And I hear this tiny little twig crack, like right there. And I'm like, it's probably a squirrel. And it was my dog attack
Oh, wow.
underneath like less than 5 yards under my tree. Like I looked down, all I saw was rack.
That's
I'm like,
awesome.
how can this happen to me like 2 bucks in a row, same season, where I'm in like an awkward position and like I look down and their rack is under me? Like, why? I set up 55 yards from my trail camera because I know the mature bucks and some of the mature does too. I'd watched them so many times J hook in. So I specifically set up 20 yards from the J hook spot, and it worked multiple times having the does come in. I'm like, perfect. When he does it, he's going to be 20 yards away. No, under my tree. So I had, and because it was 26 degrees, I didn't get the kill shot because I turned my GoPro on. Even though I had it charged to 100%, in 10 seconds, it died. So the only thing I had filmed was me taking my bow over my bridge and trying to turn completely around when he's at 5 yards under me because he's slowly walking in front of my tree, getting still closer. And then he walked out and I waited for him to turn, drew back, shot him. Didn't have any time to range find him, obviously, but I know what 20 yards looks like. And I thought he might be a little closer than 20 yards, but I just put it dead center. He was quartering away, so I aimed a little further back. And he took off like a bat out of hell, crashed everything, watched him run 100 yards with my arrow still in him, and he ran right towards my truck, like beelined it right for my truck. And then I heard him crash. So I'm like a nervous wreck because I'd already wounded a deer this year, and I have never successfully killed a deer with my bow and had to track it. Every deer I've ever killed with my bow, I've watched them go down. So every time I don't watch them go down, I freak out because I'm like, no, even though I heard him crash, it could have just been crashing, but it was all a bed of pine needles. And I knew there was some brush by my truck. And I'm like, well, maybe he just ran over the brush but it really sounded like he crashed. So, did the whole calling my dad thing and waited an hour, and I saw him bleeding immediately. When my arrow hit him, I mean, I saw blood squirting out. So
Nice.
I only waited, an hour, and that's just because I have to film and stuff, and got down. And instead of looking for blood, after talking to my dad, he's like, well, he ran towards your truck. You're not quite sure about your shot, because I immediately knew I hit him a little high. And I range find where he was standing 17 and a half yards. You and I talked about this before the podcast. My bow is dead on at 20, my top pin, but at 15 yards, it shoots 3 inches high. At 10 yards, it shoots 6 inches high. So that 3-yard difference made me shoot a little high. And because I didn't get to range find, but it was close enough, apparently. So my dad told me to do a J hook out to my truck in case he was still alive. He's like, you got 250 yards to your truck. He's probably, if he's wounded, he's bedded, you don't want to jump him, just go out to your truck and look for blood in case he crossed the road. So I hopped up onto the back of my truck bed and I'm glassing because I don't want to track blood through briars. I already did that morning.
You're already bleeding.
Yeah, literally. So I was looking for blood, or looking for the deer. Couldn't see him because it's all super tall stuff that's 4 feet tall of briars and dead grass looking stuff. So I'm like, if he fell over, there's no way I'm going to see him anyway. So then I went back and tracked for blood. I was able to track him 100 yards, and it was not exciting. The only spot there was a lot of blood was at the shot site. And then it was 1 drop here, 1 drop there. It took me over an hour to track him 100 yards because 1 drop on pine needles was really hard to find. And then when the blood started drying up, it's now brown blood on brown pine needles. So when I found the last blood, I only went 10 yards past looking for blood because I had some people I'd made friends with that had dogs for tracking and drones. And I was not going to screw the area up, not going to mess this up at all. He's either between me and the truck or he went across the road. I don't know. I lost blood. I'm nervous. Had a dog come out. The dog tracked the deer to the tailgate of my truck multiple times. We kept resetting it. And we finally said, okay, dog's done. We know the deer potentially made it right to your tailgate, maybe, but we weren't really sure why she kept going into my tailgate. And we put the drone in the air. It's daylight. Everything's lit up. And they were like, that was pointless. Go do your evening hunt, Katelyn. You got 2 buck tags. You might as well get your last hunt done. We'll come back after your hunt and help you find your deer. I said, all right. So I get in my truck, turn around, and I'm like, just for the heck of it, I'm going to look out on the other side of the road. And within 2 seconds, I slammed on my brakes because I found my book. 20 yards from my truck dead.
That's wild.
Yeah. And you know what? When I was on the back tailgate of my truck, I actually had my 360 camera and I was filming when I was standing on the back of my truck.
Mm-hmm.
And I went back and watched the footage. Now, I knew this when we found my buck. I'm like, oh my gosh, when I was glassing, all I had to do was this, and I would have seen him right there, 20 yards behind me the whole time. And I went back and I looked at my 360 camera footage. You can see the fletching of my arrow above my shoulder as I'm like this looking for him.
Oh, wow. I'm surprised the dog didn't find it if it was that close to the truck.
They explained to me that because it hadn't rained in Arkansas in over a month, everything was so dry. So she was able to track him. But then when she got to my truck, it was a dirt road. And they said that like the scent molecules from in between their hoofs, the sand and the dirt would suck it up so quickly that, you know, she was getting lost. She was kind of zigzagging on the road and then would come back, but she wasn't crossing it because she didn't know what direction to go. It was quite a wide dirt road. So that would be the reason why, you know, but I was like, man, if any of us had just looked in a full circle around my truck, we would have seen him. Like, it was just absolutely crazy. I was so excited. I mean, and there wasn't, the only spot we were able to find blood was literally on the dirt by my tailgate. I probably stepped on it getting up onto the bed of my truck looking for him. And I'm really good at looking for blood. I was finding like tiny little specks on pine needles, and I looked by my truck for blood, but you know, I looked in front of my truck. I didn't look by my tailgate. Like, they even told me to check my truck for blood, and I was like, you guys, my truck's red.
Well, that's a pretty cool story, and sounds like a pretty good ending to a 14-day trip.
Yeah, it was pretty amazing. I also killed 2 hogs with my bow on that trip. I got one out of my saddle, which I never killed a hog before with my bow. So that on day 1, number 1, I killed a hog with my bow. And then
Nice.
I invited another TikToker who hunts. Her name is Brianne Vieth on TikTok. And we went and spot and stalked hogs for the first time at night with our bows. And neither one of us had done it. Nobody told us how to do it. We were just trying our best. And then I was able to kill one on the second night, like our second attempt doing it. And that to me, I mean, it was just as hard as killing my buck, but it was almost harder, like in a way, because you're spot and stalking on the ground. It's dark. You got 30 hogs fighting around you. It's quite terrifying, to be honest.
Is it as fun as it looks, though, shooting those hogs with a bow?
Oh, the adrenaline rush is insane because
you
don't turn on any flashlights or use the green spotlight, and because hogs can't see very well. And you don't turn on any green light until you're fully drawn back. So you have to get to 20 yards, and they're fighting, they're running around. There's like 20, 25 of them. Like, they run in big groups in these areas. We had a big old boar run past us at like 5 yards, and both of us are like freaking out. I'm getting ready to draw my bow. She has her flashlight. She's like, shoot it if it gets too close. And I'm like, oh, what are we doing? Like, it was terrifying, but it was a huge adrenaline rush. It was super fun. I can't wait to do it again.
Absolutely. Hog hunting has always kind of been on my bucket list. May get to hunt turkeys in Texas this year, and it's no holds bar on hogs while I'm there too. So hopefully I get to experience shooting some hogs with my bow too.
Yeah, very cool. If anybody wants to hone their skills for deer hunting, bow hunting deer, spot and stalk hogs with your bow. No, I did it in the summertime too. I didn't realize how much muscle and like how much effort it takes to spot and stalk with your bow. I mean, you're crawling for 100 yards sometimes and you're exhausted, and then you end up being in a really awkward position drawing your bow back. But hogs can't see or hear very well. They smell like way better than deer, and they don't stick around to find out what you are. If one hog gets a whiff of you, they all poof, gone. Like, they're not like deer. They don't stick around and stomp and wonder what it is. Like, they take off. So it's a really cool experience to, you know, get your skills for bow hunting deer. It kind of makes bow hunting deer easier, in my opinion, because it's really hard spot and stalking anything with your bow. But especially you got, you know, 20 hogs, 20 eyeballs, 20 animals that can smell you. The wind constantly swirls in Arkansas. It's a nightmare because it's flat. I mean, killing a deer in Arkansas, all the hunters I talked to there, they said, oh yeah, if you kill a deer with your bow, even a doe. They said consider it an accomplishment because the wind just swirls all the time. I mean, I in the 14 days I hunted Arkansas, I think I had 4, 5 deer within bow range because it just swirls all the time. You can't do anything about it. There's not a single thing.
I think my spot and stalk skills are probably horrific because, being from the Midwest, I've never really done that kind of thing. It's always when getting taught to bow hunt, whitetails in the Midwest, it's all about being in a stand or a
Mhm.
saddle or climber, whatever. You're always up in the air, you know. I feel like killing a deer or a hog from the ground with your bow is an accomplishment.
Yeah, it definitely felt like one. It was really hard the first time I tried doing it in the summer. I realized there's a lot of muscles I had that I didn't know I had that I needed for spot and stalking.
I bet.
Like I said, half the time you're like crawling, and in order to get closer to them, sometimes when you hit the 50-yard mark, it's nothing between you and the hogs but 1 foot tall of grass. And so, you're literally nearly on your belly sometimes, like crawling to close that distance, and by then you're exhausted, and then you have to put yourself up and draw your bow back and not get busted. And you want to talk about shaking or getting buck fever. I mean, like it's kind of, it feels like the same thing, honestly, because it's just there's a lot going on. But it's very, very exciting. I was kind of addicted immediately.
I guarantee it. What's in store for 2026? You got any states that you're gonna hunt for the first time, or what's your plans?
Well, first thing on my list is in 2 weeks, I'm going back to Arkansas to try to fill my second buck tag. And Arkansas, their deer season goes till like almost the end of February, like the 20 something, I think.
Wow.
So Ohio deer season here ends like February 4th, and I've got a lot of bucks there I can hunt, and I've only got one here on camera that I'm hunting. So I just figure it's a good opportunity to go back and try to kill hogs at the same time. I mean, I got two things I can shoot when I'm up in a tree. So double the opportunity for fun, really, in my opinion.
Yeah, you can't
Um,
beat that.
yeah. So then after that, I'll probably be going to NWTF and doing some shows. And then we've got turkey season coming up. And I already mentioned doing a girls' trip and trying to do like a bit of a New England kind of a tour. If we're able to be successful killing turkeys in New Hampshire, hopefully we can hit the other states and get that done. I plan on going back to Illinois potentially for turkey hunting. And we've been talking about a bunch of different states as potential. I would really like to. I know almost all the lotteries are closed. I think for elk, I was doing research today because I've never entered lotteries before, other than Turkey for Illinois. So I'm really hoping to enter some lotteries for next year and be able to hunt some bigger game, maybe some mule deer and some elk. I really, really would love to do that. My one of my dream hunts is to shoot an elk with my bow. Like I really, really love bow hunting. And so I just want to experience as many states as possible. That's one of my favorite things is learning the different terrain, changing your hunting tactics, learning what works, what doesn't, because it just doesn't work the same in every state. Everything is so different where you go. You got to learn. I mean, I learned in Arkansas when I went there that like pretty much everything tries to bite you or kill you. Like there's a reason to be scared in Arkansas. Like they got cottonmouths everywhere and bears and way more coyotes than Ohio. In fact, the first hog I shot in Arkansas with my bow on the first day, coyotes got it when I was blood tracking it.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's
and I heard that
crazy.
hog crash at like 80 to 100 yards. I heard him crash and go down, and I was filming and going slow and checking out my arrow, and coyotes lit up, and I heard him running in the leaves, and they just went boop, right to my hog, and I was like, "You can have him."
Yeah,
So
I'm out of here.
yeah, I'm out of here. So yeah, I'm excited to do turkey season. I know, like you said, it's going to be a marathon. I'm going to hit probably quite a few states, and the more successful you are, the more states you can hit. And with turkeys, it's not like deer. You don't have to figure out their patterns or where they're living, and so you can kill a turkey if you're good. You can kill a turkey kind of quickly. So, or if you got some luck on your side. So, I'm hoping to have some really good fun. I look at turkey hunting as more fun. Deer hunting to me is stressful, but deer hunting's fun, but it's just more stressful. And turkey hunting, like you don't got to get serious until they're close. So,
Yeah, there's something about turkey season that it just hits different. Like, obviously, it's the time of the year, the spring. It's a lot warmer than
Mm,
your normal deer hunt, and
yeah,
it's crazy. Some of the states that I hunt for turkey is you can only hunt them until a certain time. Like West Virginia, I think it's noon.
it's
So
noon
like
in Ohio and Kentucky.
we're done at noon. So like after that, it's hopefully cleaning a bird.
Yeah,
We're just kind of chilling out and getting ready for the next day, or going and scouting some birds, or roosting
yeah,
them, or whatever, you know.
yeah.
So
I do
it just
everything.
hits a little different for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's why I think turkey hunting is so fun because I do everything solo all the time for deer hunting. And even when you hunt with other people, most people want to hunt deer solo because you both can try to get one. Otherwise, one of you is just filming. But for turkey hunting, I look at it as like more community hunting because it's easier to film killing turkeys if you have somebody with you for sure. You can talk and walk around and try to locate the birds, and then when you're on them, like really you're kind of only serious for like an hour or so if you don't have any roosted, and then like you said, done at noon. And for me, that means I actually get sleep during turkey season. So
Right. You got to experience hunting with Shane Simpson, turkey hunting last year. Talk about that. That's pretty wild.
yeah, I think it was the year before last year if I
Oh,
remember.
was it?
Yeah, I think it was the year before last year because he helped me get my first bird. He
Gotcha.
basically called me up and said, I am tired of watching you struggle trying to kill a turkey. Let's get you your first bird. And so I met him in Michigan, and it happened just like I had watched it happen on TV all the time. I was so excited to hunt with Shane and learn so much from the great turkey hunter. And we roosted a bird, and I shot him right after first light. Came off the roost, came right to us, boom, done. I think first light was at like 6:15. I think I shot him at like 6:30. Don't quote me on that. It was very close. Like it was, I mean, it was very, very quick. And I was like, wow, I was with you for like an hour, you know.
Yeah.
But the one thing I learned in that whole experience is that Shane is absolutely like a maestro in his orchestra of turkey calls. I mean, he was doing multiple calls at the same time. He sounded amazing. It was a really cool experience, and he's
Yeah, he's
super
a
nice guy. Like we roughed it on public land, and we all slept in our trucks, and I'm like, cool, I'm used to this, and these guys are used to it too. Nobody's complaining. Like it was great.
yeah, I love watching his turkey videos. I feel like I always can learn something. He always throws like a tidbit out, like, well, if you try this in this
Yeah,
certain,
yeah.
situation, it can work out for you. And I don't know if I've personally used it, but just having the knowledge of him throwing that out there is always nice to have.
Yeah, he helped me outside of our hunt, like when we were trying to roost birds. We were looking at turkey tracks, and he's teaching me how to use calls, and we're talking about what maybe I've done wrong in the past and what I can improve on. So I learned a lot from him out before the hunt and trying to roost birds and stuff. And he's just a super nice guy, and super super nice.
So where are you gonna end up next fall for 2026? Where are you finishing the year out at?
With the job I have, I never really know because a lot of time, I mean, this year we are trying to plan my season. Like most people who, film and hunt for a living kind of already have their schedule planned and booked for the year. This is the first time I'm getting to do that. And I feel like I'm kind of starting a little late because it's already January. But we're trying to book some spots. I know I'll be deer hunting the same property in Illinois again that I did last year because I learned from those trail cameras that all the bucks were daylighting and the best time to hunt was the first week of October, and I hunted the last week. So I am going back and hunting the first week because now I already know how the property works and I don't have to put in all that the same effort again learning. So I'm excited to go do that in October. And then it's basically with my job, it's going to the leases that need to have a hunter lease them, scouting it, doing work on it, hunting it, and then leaving and going to the next one. So, a lot of times I'll get like 3 or 4 states thrown at me and I pick one and I go do it. And then I have more options. So I never really know where I'm going to end up.
I mean, that's kind of cool too, because it could just bring something out of left field that you weren't really prepared for, and you can have an adventure when it comes to that.
Oh yeah, yeah, 100%. And I'm the Arkansas properties. There's a small portion for myself that I will be going back and continuing to hunt. It's about like it's just shy of like 400 acres, which is not small, but
Right.
I'll be hunting that throughout the year as well. All and trying to hunt bear again because they got their bear season in December, so I can hunt hogs, deer, turkey, and bear in Arkansas. So I know for sure this year I'll be going to Arkansas quite a few times all year long and then hitting other states in between the Arkansas trips.
That's awesome.
Mhm.
Well, I can't thank you enough for coming back on the show again and telling everybody about HLRBO and all that good stuff. I really appreciate you coming on. So tell everybody where they can find you and all your stuff.
My name Katelyn Armstrong. Most of my platforms, the Armstrong, the O is a 0. I'm at the point now, unfortunately, where there is a whole bunch of fake accounts out there, but I only have one account on every platform. So Katelyn Armstrong for all my platforms. I also post pretty much 50% of my content on HLRBO now. So in order to get really the full story and see everything I'm posting, follow both because I post quite a bit on both platforms.
That's awesome. Well, everybody, you guys have a good rest of your week. Go check out Katelyn and all of her stuff and HLRBO and check out their website and everything they got going. And we'll be back here again next week for episode 143. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.